Hello, this is William McKissock with Schooley Mitchell, your expense reduction consultant. And as you know, at Schooley Mitchell and personally, we love to promote other businesses in social media, give other businesses a step up and a little bit of presence in social media that they otherwise don't have. And today I have with me Keegan Zoller, who's the founder of a marketing company called VC Solutions. Welcome to the show, Keegan.
Thank you so much for having me, William.
Absolute pleasure. So, as we get started here, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came to be where you are right now.
Yeah, no problem. So I grew up in Saratoga Springs, New York, which is like 2.5 hours north of New York City. I went to college up there, grew up there my whole life, and then I eventually moved down to Tampa. And the main reason for that was for business. There was a better market for some of the specialties that we have at our business. And then obviously, in my personal life, I'm a golfer, and you can play golf all year round down here, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's a good reason to live in Florida. And if you're not a golfer living in Florida, you're missing out.
Sure.
We had talked earlier about what you were doing, what your company does, and I know you do lots of different variations of marketing. So tell the viewer like kind of like the suite of services that you offer businesses to help with the marketing.
Yeah, no problem. So just to backtrack a little bit, when I first started, before this business was even founded, I did a lot of social media marketing and email marketing, website design, even just as an independent contractor. And it really introduced me, as I was studying marketing strategy, kind of introduced me to the marketing world and, how campaigns are put together. And then, I was blessed enough to form some good relationships to actually put on some really successful campaigns all by myself. And
Mhm.
so that transitioned, into the company that we have now. We formed some cool strategic partnerships that allow us to offer, geo-fencing, which is, a type of marketing that allows us to place a digital fence around physical locations or addressable data, and then serve ads only to the mobile devices that, either fit the demographic or walk through, that location that we fence. So all of that to say, we offer really cool services, and we do a lot of advanced, marketing that a lot of people around this area and other companies aren't doing just yet.
Fantastic. And I'm assuming that I know you have to pay for marketing. I'm not asking for any a price list or anything, but I'm assuming it's fairly affordable what you offer.
Yeah, it definitely is. A lot of our services, our minor services have set prices, but our geofencing is specific in a sense that it's all based on a cost per thousand impressions. And so it allows us to be agile and work with all types of different industries. So when companies come to us and they say, hey, we have, this budget or we have this budget, we're able to say, hey, that's okay. Let's figure out what a campaign would look like inside of that budget. So it allows us to, like I said, work with a lot of different industries, be very agile, and form some really cool relationships and good partnerships as we grow in the Tampa region.
Yeah, that's an important piece, and that's why I asked the question because lots of businesses, small, medium to large, will come to you with their specific budgets in mind, and that's really cool that you can show them here's a campaign that will work for your budget, not trying to upsell them, just trying to help them actually do the marketing from what they can afford.
Yeah, that's all it's about. I know on our website it says, we were built off, uh, you know, good relationships, and that's really what it is. You grow up, you learn that really business itself is all about your relationships, and so forming good relationships with your clients is just as important as the relationships you form with your friends or your family, or other business relations that are helping you along the way. And so we take that approach with all of our clients, and it really helps that we're able to be agile in that pricing because at the end of the day, it's all about, especially in marketing, is we want you to succeed because if you succeed, then we succeed, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the geofencing, I'm familiar with it, and many people will have heard the term geofencing. Can you
sure.
give the viewer a little bit of an explanation as to what it is and how it works and why it's so successful?
Definitely. And so I use this example a lot. A lot of companies will do marketing and they'll cast a wide net. And so what happens when you cast a wide net, when you just post out on social media, even when you use Google and Facebook to break it down somewhat, you're still casting a wide net where you're getting a variety of different leads, and then you're trying to qualify them as they come through your funnel. And then your close rate is low, maybe because you didn't pre-qualify them. So with geofencing, being able to, choose who somebody is based on maybe their occupation, their age, what they're searching for online, what they're interested in, where they're going. When you're able to break down all of those different factors and then send ads to those specific people, your ideal client, you're able to really strategize in terms of casting a smaller net, which pre-qualifies that lead, which then allows you to really focus on those middle to bottom level, funnel approaches, so you can get a higher close rate and more sales. And so that's really how we structure our campaigns and how we use geofencing to lead to more sales and better return on the investment that they're spending with us.
So, kind of from a layman's perspective, it allows you to be much more specific in your targeting of the market, the actual people that you want to target, is it almost as individually to allow you to be able to like get that business that's absolutely right for your business and not just casting a wide net and trying to grab everybody and anybody, and then you're very unsuccessful.
Exactly right. It's a silly example, but if you were, a golf course, you want golfers, right? And so it would make sense if you casted a net or did advertising only to people that you knew played golf, not to people that were bowlers. That it wouldn't make sense, because they're not going to golf. They're bowlers. Maybe they'll golf once a year, but they're bowlers. And so if you could cast, a net to golfers specifically, people that are playing golf, people that are searching for golf, people that are buying golf, apparel. That would be, a more effective and efficient way, to market.
Yeah, an example of that would be the Valspar that's going to be in Tampa Bay this weekend or this
Sure.
week. So if you were a golf marketing a company selling to the golf world, you could target like the Valspar Championship and all the people in there, and then you could help market to them who are golfer and golf fanatics.
Yeah, if you're a golf brand, that makes so much sense
Yeah.
to defense that location because they're interested in golf if they're at a golf event, right? And I don't mean to just specify so much on golf. We work in such a variety of different industries, right? Construction, healthcare, home repair, recruitment, retail, seasonal events. And so golf was just a simple example I
Yeah.
used. But if anybody is out there listening, like, yeah, I wonder if they work in our industry, we probably do, or we probably can.
Okay. So what does a typical client look like in the day of working with a client? What does that look like?
Yeah, help me understand. Do you mean, when we already have the client secured
Yeah,
or the process leading up
you
to
have
it?
a client. I come to you and say, okay, I want to target like a medical convention. I want to target medical people, for
Yeah.
example, and I want them as clients. How would you help me do that?
Yeah, so there's a discovery phase where we're doing a deep dive into, is this your ideal client, who's, bought or worked with you in the past, and we're making sure that it makes sense. And then, we actually let you jump right into our system with us and show you, hey, this is how we're going to break it down and this is how we're going to target them. Then there's a situation where we're going to design the ads or the commercials because we can do all of this not just through banner ads. And I'm happy to explain how that all works as well. But we can also do this to send to streaming devices, as a commercial, which is really cool. Then I'll meet with our, geofencing expert, his name's John Reams. And so we'll kind of strategize what the campaign will look, how that proposal will look, and then we'll go from there with the client. And a lot of times, some of these clients and some of these business owners are very hands-on, which I love. So am I, right? So we'll even give, those business owners a password, their own separate password, so they can track the analytics, they can track the impression numbers, the demographical fences, throughout the 30-day, or however long the campaign is, so they can really see how it's performing. So then when we meet again at the end of the month, we can say, hey, we really thought this was our ideal audience, but maybe let's work to this in the next, month or the next year or wherever we're at in the relationship.
It sounds like it's actually very easy to do from the customer of your organization's view. If I'm a customer coming to you, this sounds like it's actually really easy. You make it easy for me to market to my clients.
Yeah, that's really what we're trying to do. I've been so blessed with relationships. I know I talked about earlier, but John himself's worked in geofencing and marketing for over 20 years. And so having his knowledge background just poured into me allows us to make it easy on clients, because we're able to answer the objections. We're able to help them through any troubles that they've had in the past, and then just make it a swift transition into what we're doing and just how to capture these new leads going forward. And again, like you said, just make it as easy as possible.
This is great, Keegan. If you're watching this show and you're looking at this video, you can contact Keegan. His details underneath his portion of the video. You'll see his email address, telephone number, website. Please reach out. As you can see, they make it really, really easy for you to market to your ideal clients. And Keegan, as one final thought, I'm assuming that I already know the answer to this question is that you're based in Tampa Bay in Florida. I'm assuming it doesn't matter where you are in the United States, that you can work with anybody.
Absolutely. We've fenced every zip code in the entire United States, and we're not limited to just the United States. We can go anywhere in the world. So if you have an event that you're really keen on getting people or your company in front of, go to our website, fill out our form and get in contact with us. Or if you're, in Virginia and you've got a small town, that you really want to target, we can do that as well. So we're as broad or as narrow as you desire.
Well, that's fantastic. As you can see, worldwide. So if you're an organization you want to market anywhere on the planet, Keegan is your person to reach out to. So, Keegan, thank you very much for coming in the show. I really appreciate it. I love doing these videos. I love supporting small, medium, large businesses. I love to do this, and I couldn't do it without people like yourself who are willing to come on the show. So, thank you very much from my end.
Yeah, thank you so much, William. I really enjoyed it, and I hope we can keep in touch after this.
Absolutely. You're more than welcome. I'll now hand it over to Dave for the weather.